Welcome to The Game Changer with Dr. Sharalyn, where purpose meets performance and leaders are built to shift legacies. I'm Dr. Sharalyn Payne, executive strategist, speaker, and the secret weapon behind leaders who drive transformation at the highest levels. Each episode delivers bold truths, power skills, and real-world strategies to help you lead with precision, show up with presence, and build the kind of influence that outlasts trends. This is the space where high-impact decisions are born, where influence is intentional, and where the bold don't just lead, they change the game. So if you're ready to rise, ready to lead, and ready to create the kind of impact that moves markets, missions, and minds, you're in the right place. Today we're talking about the anatomy of a game changer, disrupting without breaking what works. I want to talk to you about something that separates true leaders from loud ones, something that defines whether your influence multiplies or implodes. It's called the anatomy of a game changer, and specifically how to disrupt without breaking what actually works. Because here's the thing. Anyone can create noise, but it takes wisdom to create change that lasts. So here's your power question of the day. Are you changing things because they're broken? Or are you changing things because you can? Or are you changing things because you're bored? That's the question that separates immature ambition from strategic authority. Too many leaders tear down what's working, not because it's outdated, but because they don't yet know how to refine it. They confuse motion with momentum. They think disruption is about speed when it's really about stewardship. You see, game changers don't move fast to prove something. They move wisely to preserve something. They understand that in leadership, discernment is more powerful than disruption. So take a moment and think about your own leadership. Where have you been so focused on being innovative that you've forgotten to be intentional? This episode is going to show you how to balance both, how to innovate without instability. Let me start with a story. A few years ago, I watched a senior leader step into a thriving organization. They had a strong culture, solid systems, and high performance. Within his first 90 days, he changed everything. The org chart, team roles, the organizational vision in his mind for the entire organization, even the colors of the brand. You see, he was so focused on making his mark. 6 months later, you know what happened. Turnover skyrocketed. Productivity dropped. Are we surprised? And the very culture that made the company successful began to erode. He had disrupted, but he had no discernment. He lacked wisdom. Every good system has a rhythm. When you disrupt rhythm without reason, you don't create progress, you create noise. And here's what I know after 2 decades of leading transformation at scale. If you can't honor what works, you'll never sustain what's next. Game changers don't bulldoze to build. They renovate with respect. They know when to break systems. And when to honor the system that's already in place. So if you're leading through change right now, I want you to ask yourself what's truly broken. Because sometimes the problem isn't the system, it's how you're managing it. There comes a point when every leader is going to face the tension of change. It's that moment, that internal tug of war between conviction and comfort, You can actually sense that it's time to evolve, but you don't want to lose what's working. That's what I like to call the tension of change. And let me tell you this, tension is never the enemy. It's proof that you're standing in a place of growth. When leaders ignore tension, they drift into extremes. They either cling too tightly to the old or rush too recklessly into the new. But game changers, they move differently. They understand that wisdom lives in the balance. They know that change requires courage, but it also requires calibration. It's easy to lead when things are clear. It's more challenging. It's harder to lead when things are in motion, when they're moving around. And yet, that's where your calling as a leader truly gets tested. You see, leadership isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's actually about being the calmest in the storm. I like to call it commanded calm. The ability to see everything shaking around you and still lead from a place of inner authority. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. So here's a reflection moment for you. Where in your leadership do you need to stop reacting and start realigning? Let's break down what this actually looks like. Here's the anatomy of a true game changer. The kind of leader who creates transformation without collateral damage. You see, create vision with boundaries. Game changers have a clear picture of the future, but they honor the foundations that got them there. They ask, what must never change, even as everything else evolves? Because clarity without boundaries leads to burnout. The second thing they do is they understand the power of courage with calibration. Game changers don't flinch when it's time to make a tough call, but they move with wisdom, not ego. They know that boldness without strategy is just chaos in disguise. Number 3, innovation with integrity. They don't innovate to impress, they innovate to improve. They don't erase what works, they evolve it. 4, execution with empathy. They understand that transformation is emotional. Every change has a human impact. And while they lead with excellence, they also lead with grace. And then legacy with longevity. They don't build for applause, they build for endurance. A game changer's impact outlives their title. Here's a truth I want you to remember. Disruption is not the goal, alignment is. Because when your vision, values, and velocity align, everything you touch multiplies. Take a second and reflect. Which of those 5 areas do you need to strengthen the most? Is it vision? Is it courage? Is it your integrity? Is it empathy or longevity? So let's get practical. Here's my 5-step framework for sustainable disruption, what I call command and control. And no, it's not what you think about when you hear that term. Step number 1, I want you to diagnose before you disrupt. Don't fix what you haven't fully studied. Data and discernment are your best allies. Step 2, protect what's working. Preserve the principles that anchor your organization, your values, your people, your culture. That's what's anchoring you. Step 3, introduce pressure intentionally. Pressure reveals weaknesses. but only if it's applied strategically. So run small pilots, test your ideas in safe spaces. Step 4, integrate, don't layer. I want you to refrain from stacking new initiatives. Don't just keep stacking them one on top of another. Integrate them into existing systems so the culture can absorb the change. And then step 5, reevaluate continuously. Great leaders don't wait for failure to reflect. They build reflection into the rhythm. When I led a large-scale transformation in a global organization that is well recognized, this framework changed everything. So instead of dismantling what was already producing results, we preserved the good and rewired what wasn't. We simplified workflows, we built trust, and we raised engagement scores by over 20% following this model. So I know that it works. Because the goal isn't to impress people with what you change. The goal is to improve what they experience. So take a deep breath and think about this. Where have you been layering instead of integrating? And where are you overcomplicating progress? Every transformation, no matter how great, attracts resistance. Not because people hate change, but because they fear loss. They're not resisting your vision, they're resisting uncertainty. That's why game changers don't just manage resistance, they master it. They understand that pushback is part of progress. Sometimes resistance is proof that the change is real. It's proof that you've touched something that matters. So when the resistance comes, don't take it personally. Lead it purposefully. Stay aligned. Stay grounded. Stay discerning. Every great leader has had to lead people who didn't yet see what they saw. Every single one. It's par for the course. But game changers keep building until the results make the vision undeniable. So here's a reflective moment for you. Where in your leadership have you mistaken resistance for rejection? And what if, just what if, resistance is confirmation that you're actually on the right path? So let's go ahead and land the plane. Here's your ultra influential breakdown. The essence of today's conversation. Disrupt with discernment. Don't move just because you can, move because you must. Build with balance. Protect what's working even as you evolve what's not. And lead with longevity. The true test of leadership isn't how fast you grow, it's how well you sustain. You're not called to manage momentum, you're called to master transformation. You're not just a change agent, you're a game changer. And the difference? Change agents shift what's around them. Game changers shift what's within them first. Disruption without discernment destroys. Game changers don't move fast, they move wisely. You don't lead like everyone else, so your resources shouldn't look like everyone else's. I created the Game Changer Leadership Collection for high impact leaders like you, visionaries, change agents, decision makers who lead with intention and influence. This free high impact resource pulls from my leadership arsenal and delivers immediate actionable insights you can use right now to elevate your influence,
lead with conviction, and drive lasting transformation. It's not just a toolkit, it's your first step toward leading at the level you were born for. Let me show you what's inside. The Leadership Edge Sampler. It's a preview of my 10 daily power skills to sharpen your influence and impact. The Influence Language Mini Guide. Essential phrases to increase your authority and build trust in every room you walk into. The Leadership Blind Spot Snapshot. Because the greatest risk are the ones we don't see. The power of one visual aid. A reminder that even one decision, one tone, or one conversation can shift a team or stall a movement. The Executive Briefing Checklist, a go-to tool for high-stakes communication that drives clarity and alignment. The 5-minute accountability brief, a no-fluff framework to build a culture of ownership fast. And we have the Game Changer Ascension Model Overview, my proprietary leadership growth map to help you scale your influence with intention. These are the very same tools I use with executives, culture shapers, and elite teams, leaders who know what's at stake and aren't here to play small. Because when you're called to shift systems, influence nations, and build legacies, you can't afford to lead on autopilot. This is where your next level begins. Download the Game Changer Leadership Collection today. It's free, it's strategic, and it's built for leaders who are born to shift the game. I'm Dr. Sharalyn Payne, and this is your Leadership Edge.
Thank you for joining me on The Game Changer with Dr. Sharalyn, where we don't follow trends, we set them, and we don't just lead teams, we shift legacies. If today's message challenged, stretched, or inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, tag it, lead through it, because real leaders don't just consume wisdom, they multiply it. Want to go deeper? Subscribe to the Ultra Influential newsletter for exclusive tools, behind-the-scenes strategy, and weekly mindset shifts for the leader ready to move nations, markets, and minds. Visit www.smpistrategies.com or send a note to leadership@smpistrategies.com. And if you're ready for next level coaching or consulting that positions you as the right leader at the right time in the right place, let's talk. This is what we do, and we do it with precision, power, and purpose. Remember, change isn't just something you lead, it's something you become. Stay bold, stay brilliant, stay a game changer.